So now we move on to our next session, which is on the topic Building Human Capital for a Competitive Shipbuilding Industry. A globally competitive shipbuilding ecosystem depends not only on infrastructure and technology, but also on a highly skilled workforce. This session will discuss skills for advanced shipbuilding, academia-industry collaboration, employment potential, global best practices, and strategies to address talent mobility. For this session, I request the session chairperson, Dr. Mrs. Malini V. Shankar, IAS retired, Vice Chancellor, Indian Maritime University, to kindly come on the dais to set the tone for the panel.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, BCCI, for giving me the opportunity to be here. It's always a pleasure to come from Chennai and reconnect with the industry and the maritime friends in Mumbai. So we all know that India has set an ambitious target to emerge as a global shipbuilding hub. Yet this sector contributes to less than 1% of global shipbuilding as of the year 2025, highlighting a gap between aspiration and capability. Despite its current low share, India has, all of us know, initiated a massive push aiming to become the top 10 shipbuilders by the year 2030 and top 5 shipbuilding country by the year 2047, with intermediate goals of securing a 5% share of the shipbuilding in the next 4 years. The government has earmarked almost 70,000 crore package to boost the sector and promote green vessel technology. Unfortunately, only 7% of the Indian-owned vessels are built within the country. The Indian Ship Technology Center has been established in Visakhapatnam. It's a 305 crore rupee initiative aimed at fostering indigenous ship design, research, and technical training. It serves as a national hub to reduce reliance on foreign designs and support Atmanirbhar Bharat. This center is currently located within the IMU Visakhapatnam premises, and we hope we take it forward with collaborations with industry. Indian shipyards are increasingly securing orders from abroad for building ships, driven by government initiatives like the Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Policy and partnerships with international firms. Key players like Cochin Shipyard and Goa Shipyard are building vessels for European, Norwegian, and other international clients alongside major agreements for LNG-fueled vessels. In fact, Cochin Shipyard and its subsidiary have secured multiple significant eco-friendly vessel orders from Norwegian clients, marking a major success in the Make in India initiative. Key projects include building zero-emission hydrogen fuel cell vessels for Sanskip, autonomous electric barges for ASCO Maritime, and a series of dry cargo vessels for Wilson ASA. Now, we have heard about the operations, and the previous session we talked about financing. But you have operations, you have financing, but if you don't have the capability to build vessels and to operate them, then there is a huge gap there. We produce hundreds of engineering graduates annually, but only a fraction of them is shipyard ready, according to the industry. And this is due to limited production-oriented education and a practical exposure, unlike countries like Korea and Japan, which deliver 50 to 60% of the curriculum content through shipyard training, hands-on training. Shipbuilding education in India has had a wide disparity between the curricula and technologies of Industry 4.0, which the government and the partnering universities are trying to redress. Moreover, it is reported that the industry faces steady talent leakage, with 30 to 40% of skilled workers and naval architects migrating to foreign shipyards or allied sectors within 3 to 5 years of training. Now, whether this is good or bad is a debatable issue, because in my opinion, even if they migrate, we are contributing to the shipbuilding. We need to look at what are the incentives that will make them stay back here and contribute to Indian shipbuilding and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Skills training in shipbuilding remains fragmented. Over 60 to 70% of the trained welders and fitters are reported to require retraining at shipyards, which increases the cost and reduces the productivity. Critical deficiencies include missing digital skills, automation and design, insufficient hands-on experience, as I mentioned earlier, experience with modern equipment. This and similar aspects will be discussed in this session today. This panel brings together perspectives from industry and policy experts to examine the systemic gaps and to identify practical pathways to align education, training, and retention with India's shipbuilding ambitions. We definitely hope that this conversation surfaces actionable ideas that can move the sector from episodic success to sustained capability. Just a word, when we talk about capacity building, it is not limited to knowledge. India is seen to be more classroom-oriented and less skill-oriented, and that is where we have to work together. So with that, I hand over the charge to you or to the moderator. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shankar. I now call upon the moderator, Captain Hemant Gupta, Deputy Director, Drewry Maritime Advisors, and our esteemed panelists, Mr. Uday Chaitanya Ganivada, Country Manager, India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, DNV. Applause, please. Mr. Sahay, Managing Director, Shoft Shipyard Private Limited. Mr. P.K. Mishra, Managing Director, Indian Register of Shipping, IRClass. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Okay, so this session is about the manpower, the training. So although we are talking throughout about shipbuilding, not to forget the training of the seafarers or of the crew for the shipbuilding is integral part of it. Because right from the beginning, if you don't have well qualified and well trained crew, the quality of construction will not be good and the name of the country for shipbuilding will not pick up. Okay, so, but before I start, let's start with the introduction first. I will start mine, then we can go to Mr. Sao and the others. So my name is Captain Hemant. I am the Deputy Director in Drewry. We are shipping and port consultant. I have sailed for 16 years, then I worked in 2 ports in India, then Port of Singapore for 8 years, and now in Drewry for last 6 years. And in Drewry, the ESG, Green Shipping and Green Port, is one of my main portfolio. And now you know that shipbuilding, anything going on is integral part of it is Green Shipping and Green Port, so I'm part of that. So over to Mr. Raj.
Good afternoon. My name is Sahay Raj. I am the Managing Director of Shoft Shipyard. Our shipyard is located in Bharuch, Gujarat. We have a 50-acre spread and we have 3 slipways. We can build vessels up to 180 meters long, 44 meters, 36 meter wide, and up to a draft of 4.5 meters with a launching weight of 6,900 tons. I am representing a medium-scale shipyard here, so my points will be from that basis.
Thank you very much. How about Mr.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Praveen Mishra. I'm Managing Director of Indian Register of Shipping, which is a national classification society. And I'm a marine engineer by profession. About 8 years, I've sailed on various kind of tankers, and they are with Great Eastern Shipping. Thereafter, I joined Indian Register of Shipping. And with Indian Register of Shipping, I'm almost about 26 years. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Uday Ganivada. I'm the country manager for DNV, responsible for India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. I've been with DNV for the last 19 years. Been working mostly in India, then in South Korea, Norway, and Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, so important to note is that shipbuilding is a very labor-intensive industry. And not only you need engineers, you need a lot of skilled laborers, welders, painters, and not only they are needed directly by the shipbuilding yard, but shipbuilding is supported with a lot of ecosystems. So those ecosystems also need trained staff. And although the discussion is focused on shipbuilding, I want to emphasize that even for the repair yard, the skill sets required are quite similar. Not exactly, but quite similar. And ship repair yard industry is something which is expected to grow quite rapidly, especially if the IMO net zero framework comes up. It is anticipated that the capacity utilization of the repair yard is going to exceed 120%. Yeah, so mind that. So that means not only for shipbuilding, but for repair yard also we need a lot of manpower. Now, coming to the topic of employment potential in the shipyard and allied services, let's start with Uday. So Uday, what is in the DNV assessment are the employment opportunities in India's shipbuilding sector over the next decade? And how can India leverage on its competitive advantage in labor costs to create sustainable employment in shipbuilding?
Yeah, I think to answer the first part of your question with respect to the opportunities on shipbuilding side, considering the impetus from the government with respect to the policies of the Maritime Development Fund, Shipbuilding Financial Assistance, SBFAP 2.0, etc., there is a lot of potential for shipbuilding in India to grow. What that means is all the shipbuilding and allied industries, there will be a lot of opportunities. It's not just within the shipyards, but again the associated ancillary industries. There is a study which says that for every one job that you have in a shipyard, there are 7 jobs outside, which means the ancillary industries which supplies the steel, the valves, cables, everything else, for shipbuilding has to grow as well. And for India to succeed, of course, the ancillary industry in India should grow. So I strongly believe in that, both shipbuilding and the ancillary industry will grow. And on the second part where you talked about the labor intensive part, while the labor costs relatively in India are low, we should also look at it holistically, because the labor costs may be low, but the efficiency what we have currently in the shipbuilding in India is relatively quite low. So we should look at ways how we could improve efficiency. That could be different aspects. Like for example, last week I was talking to one of the directors of one large public sector shipyard, and they mentioned that they start a project when the design is maybe 10 to 20% mature. But if you look at China, for example, after they sign a shipbuilding contract, they don't start the production for a period of almost 8 to 9 months. To the extent of even a small nut and bolt, they plan each and everything, and only then the production starts. Which means, the possibility of doing rework is considerably much lower in well-established yards, whereas currently, when the design is not frozen, then you have changes, then you have to keep doing modifications, and which is quite a repetitive process. So I believe we should look at ways of how we could bring in more efficiency into the shipbuilding.
Yeah, on the part of the changes you mentioned, what happens is the changes are worked in isolation many a time. So like one component is changed, but the other team members who are working on the other part of it, they don't know about it. So very important that there is transparency and everybody is aware of the changes. So let's move on to Mr. Raj, who is got practical experience of shipbuilding. What are the requirements of skilled labor in Indian shipyards, and are the shipyards able to meet their demands, and how the shortfalls are made up?
Yeah. Now we are looking at a scheme of 2047, 2030. Even with 2030, the requirement for meeting the deadline of deadweight or meeting the capacity, becoming 5th largest shipyard, one important aspect is the labor. Are they available? Though there is a lot of opportunity, as Mr. Ganivada has said, are they available in India today? The answer is no. There are no longer skilled manpower is available. Gone are the days where people used to come from UP, Bihar, Orissa, and they bring a lot of people and they get trained on the job by the people who bring them. Today there is no longer that situation is there as such, because UP and Bihar themselves is improving. They have their own sources of employment there. So this is one major area which all the shipyards are facing today, and unfortunately we don't have any dedicated shipbuilding related skill development courses or institutions other than ITI, and people who are available from ITI are very few. And today the requirement is large. Even a small private shipyard like ours, we need about 1,000 to 1,200 people. Presently we have only 50% of that strength. We are struggling, and I've been discussing with other colleagues from other shipyards. The situation is same everywhere. Manpower is not available, and another problem is, as Madam has said, manpower who are trained, they easily go away to other places for better opportunities, better pay scales. That is another reason why whoever we are training, they sooner or later they leave and go off to Singapore or Indonesia, Vietnam. I mean, now people are even going to Korea. That's what we hear. So this situation is alarming. Unless some extraordinary steps are taken, this is a major requirement for building ships. They are the people who are going to build ships. All the other things can be perhaps organized. This is one area where we need to concentrate. We are all struggling. That's it. That's the present situation actually now.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll come back to that topic in a few minutes. So what is also required is that we need specialized training program, as Mr. Raj just now mentioned, that they just get trained in-house and that's how they learn. So, and then we also need advanced craftsmanship thing. So question to Mr. Mishra, how could academy and industry partnership to strengthen, to ensure steady pipeline of skilled talent in India? And what role does collaborative R&D between universities and maritime industry play? And this I have seen is quite common. It's been done in Japan as well as China.
Okay, thank you for the question. See, as far as academia and industry is there, as Madam has said, and as we know also, because I have worked with Korean shipyard, I have worked with Japanese shipyard and all, and what they do, even all stakeholders, means shipyard and others, they make the syllabus, because they know what is needed. If you, let's say, if you talk about now, and people are going to make, let's say, green, basically vessel. So, right from there, what will be the alternate fuel, how the fuel system will be designed, or let's say, if you talk about the hull, what will be the material which can be basically have a notch toughness and tough, but it should be light. Then let's say look at the coating. Coating also should be self-polishing, and so that energy efficiency is reduced to the maximum. So, I mean, this is, first of all, academia has to involve the stakeholders in making of curriculum. That is first thing. Second thing, those who are teaching in basically in academics or maybe in IMU and other place, they are generally, I mean, either outdated or I can say current professionals are not there. So if you look at it, MIB 2030 and 2047, there they say that maybe we have to come out with a program where like class 1 marine engineer and master mariner, they can be given a professor title so that they can come and they can teach. Because if somebody has worked on modern ship, he has operational knowledge, then he can transfer that knowledge. That is another thing. Third thing, in many places, if you see country like Singapore and others, they do exchange program. Means they will send their student on exchange to other university. So they learn from them. Same way, they send their student and professor to the shipyards. So they learn from the shipyard. Now, just to say that in year 2000, for the construction of Disa, I was in Korea. That time there was, robots were doing welding. The dandy name was there, so like whether it is WPS RPQR, whatever it is, we used to do. So there has to be a lot of even job in that profile. People can program the robots, and they can qualify the robots for various welding. So this is one thing. And even suppose you are not getting, you can have, remote session also. Even academia should interact with classification society, equipment manufacturers, everything, so that if they will interact with classification society, they will be updated with whatever is going on, latest rules and regulations. So they will know exactly what is it. Suppose you talk about, there are Marpol and X6 keeps changing every 6 months. So once somebody is hands-on, he will be able to tell you, okay, 2030, what is going to reduction expected? Okay, 30% of the total reduction in CO2. And 2040, what will be the reduction? 2050, net zero. How you are going to do? Means alternate technology and alternate fuel. And various ways. So these way, there has to be complete long-term partnership between industry and academia to take it forward. As far as R&D is concerned, R&D also has to take input from the industry itself. What is more required now? We want to reduce the energy efficiency, means total emission from the ship. So at least look for some material by which hull can be made. You look for the engine, which engine is more, how you make engine more efficient and basically emission free. So related topics, lot of work is going on. R&D industry and academia, if they work together, they can come out with a solution which will be more, that can economize the cost, and that can bring in more innovation to it. So this is a few things can be done together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And very interesting point he mentioned about exchange program. The exchange program is also one of the ways to attract talent. And not to forget, while they have been trained, emphasis must be given on training them in safety aspects, because shipbuilding repair yards are inherently quite risky kind of job. So let's hear from DNV. What role can classified society like DNV play in strengthening the academia industry linkage?
Yeah, I think totally agree to what Mr. P.K. Mishra had mentioned. Just to add further to that, I think class societies can be a bridge between academia and the industry, where like classification societies, we have the rules and then the implementing how the rules, like not just the class rules, but also the statutory aspects of it. So for example, in DNV, what we have been doing with respect to academia is we have our Maritime Academy, where, we do conduct a lot of courses for the academia. And then we also, like for example, in Norway with NTNU and all, we do a lot of joint industry projects and also joint development projects where we make academia be part of these particular projects. And then we also have people coming as internships, be part during the summer breaks, work along with us, and then, understand what we are doing with respect to the classification business. And then other than that, the advisory business that we are doing with Beyond Class Services, where the academia students get to spend like 3 months, work closely with us to understand. And then, there are projects which we give to the students, and based on what the projects that they do submit to us, then we look at possibility recruiting them at a later point of time. It's basically to give the opportunity for the academia to understand how the industry is moving and what are the challenges, and for them to get a feel of the industry, I would say.
Yeah, thank you very much. And so not only we need skilled labor, we need specialized engineering knowledge. We have new vessel design coming up. We are very efficient design, so you need a lot of design engineers. We are using green technology. We all know what green technology we are talking about. Plus, we have robotic assisting for cleaning of the hull, for painting, for welding, all those kind of things are there. So let's start, ask Mr. Raj. Mr. Raj, are shipyards in India able to adopt any of these advancing technologies, and do they have sufficient skilled manpower for these advanced technologies?
Well, as far as the public sector shipyards are concerned, they are little more advanced in having the latest technologies in place. Except a few private shipyards, most of the private shipyards in the country, I must say, they do not have the necessary infrastructure and developed technology as such. we are still following mostly age-old equipment or welding processes or cutting processes. It needs to change, of course. Now with the brownfield development incentive which is being given by the government, this is a good opportunity for the shipyards to use this opportunity to upgrade their infrastructure, to develop newer technology, better manufacturing equipment. So that is one thing which is there. As far as the skill level of workers are concerned, today even the public sector shipyards are working on contracting method. So most of the people who are employed in all the shipyards are all contractors. So they have a very small workforce. And for them to have skilled workforce to meet the demands of newer technology is definitely not there actually. Unless the shipyard themselves or the exclusive entity which is formed to develop such skills, or exposure to other shipyards in other places, or getting some experts from other places to come and train us, that is a possibility. And not only a possibility, it is a must now. If you are looking at moving to the next level, we need to get our people trained well. And it could be done within the shipyard itself, or it could be done outside, or it could be done in an institution, or we can be connected with, like IRS is running a, what is that?
Center of Excellence in Maritime and Shipbuilding.
What is it? SEMS. That is Centers of Excellence in Maritime. So that kind of units are, of course, they are presently located only in, I think, Vizag and Chennai.
It is in Vizag, but what we are doing it, like GRSs asked for training of welders, cutters and electrician.
Okay.
So we have set up one house in, let's say, next to GRSC. Same way now HSL wants their welders, cutters and electrician to be trained. We are doing that, and with Cochin Shipyard and DP World also will be training there.
Yeah, such possibilities are, of course, possible for bigger shipyards which have maybe funds allocated for the purpose of training and research. So, whereas it's not a possibility or affordability for smaller shipyards as such. But everyone in their own level are doing something. They are, of course, as Mr. Arjun Chowgule in the morning said, shipbuilding processes are developing as we go along. So even smaller shipyards have upgraded a lot of their infrastructure in the past 2-3 years. So now with the present push by the government of supporting brownfield development, that can go a long way actually.
So that means not only the government support is required for setting up these training institute, but also government should provide some kind of funding for the people. Now, if I personally go for the training, I'm not working, so I will not be earning. So it has to be that the salaries of the staff will continue while they are going. So the shipyard bears that cost, and the cost for the training is probably borne by the government, or at least subsidized by the government. Okay, so I move on to the next topic of global best practices in the maritime scales. As we just spoke that there is hands-on training and exchange programs are required, but another important thing is not to forget that the digitalization going on in the shipbuilding industry. So nowadays the ship designs are made in one country, and manufacturing of the building of the ship is done in another country. So, and many of these modern countries, they're designing in three-dimensional, whereas the platform, the software must be compatible. So there are all these issues are there. So coming to Uday, what global best practices and maritime skill development can India adopt to strengthen its workforce?
Yeah, I think there are several aspects, but maybe I will start with one of the basic ones, which is probably on the safety side. If you see currently, most of the ships that we are building in India are, of course, naval vessels and small-sized multi-purpose vessels or mini bulkers. But of course, India has aspirations to grow and build much larger vessels, complicated vessels and all. But if you see in the present yards, for example, confined space entry or working at heights. These are quite basic, but of course, we all have procedures. But if you look at the implementations like permit to work, etc., they're not really well followed. But if you look at in yards in China or in Korea, the safety department has all the authority to stop work, or without the approval from the safety, you cannot start work. But in India, for whatever reasons, we take for a lot of reasons for granted. Of course, it's okay, we can say that there are probably not many major incidents, but it's not, we can't wait until an incident happens and then start working on it. But considering that we are moving towards building more complicated ships, I think it's important that these are basics and these are some of the best practices, I would say, rather that we should definitely implement and follow. And other than that, of course, considering the IMO's, CI requirements and all coming, there will be more fuel-efficient ships that are required with alternate fuels and all, which brings in new technologies. Then looking at digital twins, where if you see currently some of the well-established yards use the digital twins where they develop pretty much the entire vessel in 3D before they actually start the production. Then also quite importantly lately is on the cybersecurity part, which is which is now mandatory for any new ships that are being built, but also more and more relevant. So these are some of the best practices, I would say, that where the Indian yards should be, taken up from globally.
Yeah, thanks, Uday. So just to add on, he mentioned about safety. I also mentioned about safety. There another aspect that need to be understood is that shipbuilding is done in blocks. So you build a block, lift it and fit it in the right place. Now lifting of these blocks is a very complicated thing and requires a lot of detailed lifting calculations. So we need that kind of expertise. Now another important point about safety. Unfortunately, when we talk of safety, we talk about it's going to cost money, but no. It's about the reputational damage. And just imagine shipbuilding is a very expensive thing, and there is a major accident and the work is stopped for a few days, the vessel gets delayed, and who's going to bear the penalty? So it's not only the quality of the ship, but also reputation in terms of these safety matters. It becomes very important. Okay, so now, Mr. Mishra, a question to you. How do leading shipbuilding nations ensure steady supply of skilled talent? And what lessons can India apply to strengthen its maritime skill ecosystem?
How they do differently, we need to look at it. If you look at India, it is all training, all degrees, basically time-based. What they do is, it is competency-based. Means, suppose you do 2 years, you get certain degree. But it is like, if you insist on competency, if somebody is, let's say, naval architect, you just give him to do a midship section plan. If somebody is marine engineer, you just tell him to decarb certain units. So if you do this kind of training, which is based on competency, so you are creating a pipeline where people are ready from the day one, to take up the job. And this is the way competency-based system has to be adopted here. That is the main thing. And as earlier it was discussed about skilling and other aspect with respect to shipping, we have to start for any plan approval. Now we have to have a 3D plan approval. Same way classification has to be 3D classification. And any job, what it is being done, it has to be precision job, so that there is no rework. And obviously whether it is assembly, sub-assembly, assembly, and all planning has to be well in advance, and obviously a lot of IT tools can be used for planning. Even if you look at it, even shifting of blocks and things like that, that can also be automated. You can just sitting at one place, you can do things so that complete assembly and sub-assembly is from some assembly or making assembly, and whatever welding etc. has to be done, it will be done. After that, next air testing etc. will be done, and it will be completed. When basin trial has to be planned, it will be planned in same day and date, given time. Sea trial also, when it is planned in like a country like Japan and Korea, it happens at that time. There is no A trial, B trial and C trial. It is straight away C trial, you know. So what we need to do is we have to avoid doing rework in every of our process systems. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So bear in mind that India has got a very good supply of marine engineers, plus deck officers, plus also naval architects. Indian naval architects are working all over the places, like in Singapore, whichever naval architect I see, they are mostly Indians. Okay, coming to the last topic of tackling brain drain and talent mobility. So what is needed is definitely improvement in work conditions. The knowledge transfer and international partnership should be ascertained to tackle the brain drain problem and change it to brain gain approach, as we we have heard that the 2 tankers are being constructed and then they will do a transfer of the technology and all. So, Mr. Mishra, what structural change do you think is needed in Indian maritime shipbuilding ecosystem to reduce the brain drain and retain high talented professionals?
See, what I believe it, let us circulate, not retain. Even if some brain drain is happening, let it go, you know. If you've seen maybe 10 to 15 years before, yeah, even till date also, people leave IRS, they join DNV, they join maybe Lloyd, they join this thing. Now it is reverse is also happening. If one person is leaving and joining other class society, 5 persons are coming from other and joining us. So it is, if they go to other society and come back with that, they will bring some knowledge, you know. So we can look at it that also, and that also we can basically utilize to the best of our advantage. And secondly, even if suppose, let's say somebody is there outside, working, let's say outside shipyard and all, with latest technology, you can always, like all plan approval happens, you know, e-plan. You can always tell people to do the plan approval from wherever they are. You can give them short assignment, you know, so that they can do those short assignment from wherever they are sitting. And same way, even academia also wants to invite, they can invite anybody, you know, online people can come and deliver the lecture. And obviously, if Shipyard has to, let's say, get more talent, they can first do the capacity expansion, then they have to adopt to the modern technology, because you can retain people by modern technology. And secondly, if suppose somebody wants to come home or come back to the India, we should be able to take them on mid-level, you know. And if suppose we cannot basically make the pay parity, we cannot pay similar, so at least performance linked bonus we can give, you know, PLI kind of thing we can give. So and job satisfaction, by looking at giving them, you know, high quality jobs so that they can get satisfied. That way you can always, get people work, you know, like earlier IT, any background of IT people, they used to go to US and all. That is happening other way also, you know. Now you must have seen some of the very basic people, they have moved entire company to one village of Chennai and they are operating from there. So it can happen in shipping also, you know. So we should work towards that.
Yeah, I think I'm also one of the examples. After working 8 years in Singapore, I came back. So let's hear from Mr. Raj. What do you think about brain drain and brain gain?
Brain drain, as Madam has said, you know, we have to incentivize people. So definitely, Indian shipbuilding industry pays the lowest if you compare to the international rates. I'm talking about the shipbuilding industry. Classification agencies are more or less at par. So one class to another and another class to here is easy, and within India, not a problem. But shipbuilding industry, people who trained, definitely they have better opportunities elsewhere, and the pay are very attractive. The reason here why we cannot do only for selective people, though we find, let's say there are 100 people working, we find 10 people are good, and we start incentivizing them in a way that 90 people, the rest of the people, they get demoralized totally. Though they don't deserve it, but they get demoralized. And the whole system works in this. That's a Indian psychology or whatever it is. That's a problem we face. So we tend to keep more or less at par, even though more deserving people, and as he said, maybe some performance bonus or some quietly we invent some new method of compensating them in a different way. We do that, but it is not done on a large scale. So brain drain is, as far as engineers and supervisors are concerned, it is definitely there. What I am more concerned as a smaller shipyard is the people, the workers. Today we are not really worried about engineers not being available, or we are more worried about the skilled workers not being available. That is the biggest challenge we are facing today.
Yeah, so here we are talking about two types of brain drain. One is outside the country and outside, second is outside the place of work. Yeah, that is there. But as we said that we are going to start shipbuilding, we don't have enough experienced people. So in addition to the training of the manpower, in parallel it is very important to also work in getting the people back or getting other people who have got sufficient experience to work in India to kickstart this. So let's hear now from DNV, what role can international partnership play to mitigate the brain drain while leveraging India's talent pool?
So at least I can comment on what we've been doing in DNV. Like for example, we do have people where we give them the opportunity to base in India but work on international projects. Like we've been doing a lot of advisory projects for projects in Europe or even projects in Singapore. People sitting here, so we give them the opportunity. So that is a motivation for them, for example, to be here in India and be able to access the different types of projects, not just for the projects that they have in India. And other than that, what we also, the mobility part, again, I think we see is being a big challenge, where for sometimes people, when we want people to move, is also not that easy. So what we are doing is, in India, we have brought in expats. We have now 4 expats in India, people who have 30-35 years of experience. We have brought them in India, and they are actually assisting in building the competence here for our surveyors in the Indian surveyors that we have. And the same goes, and we send our people for trainings outside and give them the opportunity. So that in a way helps, where we could retain our people, I would say.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe, ma'am, I ask one question to you. What are your thoughts based on the discussion we had about what all needs to be done to ensure we have all the trained manpower required?
Yeah, when it comes to capacity building, we have to divide it into 2 parts. One part is the ship design part, and the other one is the actual shipbuilding and ship construction part. Like Mr. Ganivada pointed out, ship design is very, very critical, as we see. For example, the government of India says we should be having a repository of designs which can be readily available so that it reduces the time from the design board to the final design. So that repository, if we can create it, will be very good, and that can be done in collaboration with industry. Of course, the thing is, each ship design is different, and it's a very confidential thing. So how we go about, but the template can be given. When it comes to shipbuilding, I will address this. Mr. Sahay said, is there funds available? I think funds are available in plenty. I don't think funds is a problem. But when we go to the field and we say, okay, please get trained in this, the question which they ask is, where will we get employed? That's, people are available, funds is available, but they are looking for a kind, if not a guarantee, but a kind of assurance that they will get employment. Now, Mr. Sahay mentioned, and this came to us as a surprise to me also, that they need 1,200 hands in just 1 yard. Then why, maybe there is an ignorance or there is lack of information among the people, saying that if you get trained, you will get employed. This is one issue. Second issue regarding training is, in the present world, they see shipbuilding as something where they have to dirty their hands. And they see everybody else going and sitting in front of computers and designing. So maybe we have to make this entire shipbuilding thing a little more attractive to the students, get them into the computer room first, and then say, go and dirty your hands. So we have to get into modern methods of attracting them. Number 2 is, in accordance with the MAK 2047, MIB, etc., in alignment with the government objectives, we are trying to promote skilling. Like it says, it's competency based and should move away from the classroom. But we need training content. See, training content, like Mr. Mishra said, in a university will be lagging behind. But the industry has to give us what will be the content, who will be the resource people for training. That's another big shortfall. We can say that there will be people in the industry, but when the industry is approached, they're all very busy people, or they say, no, this is not something I want to do. This content is meant only for my company. So we have to get the industry to tell us what is the content, who are the resource people who will train, what will be the number of people to be trained, where do we train them, because they have to be trained not in a classroom. If skills and competency is the objective, they necessarily have to be trained in a shipyard or something akin to a shipyard. The last thing about the content itself is what kind of certification are they looking for? Is the industry saying they need a certification, or is the industry saying we will give you the content, you just train them and we don't need a certification? Now if you look at a certification, you have to go to NCVET. This is the Vocational Education Training Department. Now that takes a long time. For that also they are saying you give us the curriculum. So these are the issues which have to be rightly, the academia and industry have to come together. The academia is ready. Now is the industry ready is the question. The last point I would like to make is again coming to, is there a brain drain, is no brain drain, etc. I partially agree with Mr. P.K. Mishra that there is no point in trying to retain people. Because no matter what incentive you give, no matter what subsidy you give, they will go where they feel that they are respected or they are getting more remuneration, etc. I think one of the solutions is to create such a large pool of trained people that there will be enough who will stay and enough even after people who leave. So these are the, and one last point in shipbuilding. I think there was a mention made that, Korea is going into automation. Can we do this? Yes and no. Because are we there at a mature level that we can actually emulate Korea in doing the automation? For that, there has to be intensive R&D. But then on the other side, one of the larger issues which we are facing in India is a jobless growth. We have a GDP which is rising and there's joblessness. So we can't really move 100% or even largely towards automation. We have to focus on the few points that I made just now. Thank you for the...
Yeah, thank you very much. Very nicely put up. So in nutshell, we have to work in parallel while the industry and government is pushing the shipbuilding part of it, the actual heart of it, but then the training plans with the stakeholders, putting the safety element in it has to be worked in parallel. In addition to that, provision for providing free courses and job assurance has to be there. And in parallel, we have to work on for getting from brain drain to brain gain so that we have experienced people with us. I think that's the end of our session. So anybody has any questions, please? Yeah, we see 2 hands raised up.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Captain Plenary. I'm working in LPS College, Maritime College. Actually, it is under Indian Maritime University. Points I would like to highlight, because when we joined sea 40 years before, half the people they do not know what is shipyard. Where is the shipyard? How ship is generally built. When we go outside Korea or Delhi or Singapore and all, we came to know there are the shipyard where ships are built. In the training of 6 months or 1 year, we don't come to know. Similarly, here in India, we have a lot of training institutes. Already, DG Shipping and IMU has put the syllabus in the maritime education. with respect to shipyard requirements and all. Like being in the government institution, PMT Calcutta and our Mary Mumbai, we are trying to cope up with shipyards by paying money. We have an agreement, MOU, and every year we pay empty fees just to send our get exposure. But same thing is not from the other side. If you look at all the shipyards, there are starting from Calcutta, then you have Visakhapatnam, Kochi, and Goa, and Mumbai. They all try to tie up with the people or the institutes, so that they can call them and give some kind of training or exposure, which is also called awareness. Then that will be a better opportunity to get the people. And Sahay sir, what he has told, that skilled people, there are hundreds of ITIs are there in India. But how many ITIs who have reached, how many shipyards have reached them? That is none. Very, very few. Only ITIs which are close to shipyard, they know about the jobs are available. Otherwise, 90% of ITI students, they don't get job. They look at here and there, they approach us how to do training. So similarly, nautical officers or marine engineers and rating institutes also are there. They don't want to work continuously. They can be used for shipbuilding, whatever they are working in engine room on board ships. So little bit tie-up is required and there is exposure. So anybody like to comment?
No, what you say about ITI people being available, but a person who is, let's say our shipyard is in Bharuch, we should ideally be looking at people around that area. That's what we don't have. People who are in Mumbai or who are in elsewhere, an ITI person will not move out to Bharuch to work. Whatever may be the salary extra or whatever it is, it won't sustain him actually. So that's a problem. We need to have institutions or training institutes set up in the vicinity of the shipyard and specifically concentrating for shipyard related work. There is enough trade. Every trade which is available, which is required, is there in shipbuilding. In all the trades, we need people. And though madam, it is a surprise to her, I would request you to talk to the shipyards. It's a problem with all the shipyards, bigger shipyards also.
I was surprised at the number.
Yeah, it's true.
But if I may just pause. Do you require a certification of NCVET or don't you require? Because these are all critical issues for training.
Yeah, true, madam. Certification is next step. The first step is that we need to identify the people who are going to be available.
So, as I said, people have been identified. They said, will I get a job and will I get a certificate? The minute you give a certificate, they will go abroad. Let me also tell you.
That also is true.
But industry needs to be very clear and indicate to the academia whether the certification is required.
In the case of workers, it's particularly related to welders. It's particularly related to welders because they are the ones who are in very high demand. Once they get certificate, then definitely they look for. We also have some mechanism to stop that, and we do that actually. But the problem is availability of even unskilled people today are not available. We don't mind bringing unskilled people and developing them in our shipyard. That's what we do. That's what we do continuously.
Yeah,
You have to see maybe others. Just for your information, even Dubai Dry Docks picks up all its welders from India.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
one thing we developed, and they
So,
go
but
there.
we can also, look
One
at
more
it
question.
and make it that they should
Yeah,
go to our
can I
shipyard.
make a point?
And I think one question which was posed was, like Madam mentioned, that how about job security? I'll get the training, but do I have the job? So one way can be done is few shipyards combine together and say, okay, fine, you will get absorbed. Give job, because today my shipyard doesn't get an order, his shipyard will get. So if you have a pool, definitely the persons can be absorbed. Yes, sir. You have a question here.
I'm Mohan Lal. I've also been running a small shipyard, similar to Raj, some time back. We are actually we are looking at a large scale of shipbuilding clusters and all. We are not talking about the big engineering side, and we are joining out enough naval architects, marine engineers, other engineering. For example, when Raj passed out from IIT KGP, that was the only institution with 15 people. I am from the first batch of Cochin, then we started coming out with another 15 people. Now the country is churning out around 300, 400 naval architects alone. So we should not be worried about that level, design, marine engineering. We're talking about the ground level people. We need, like Raj is saying, 100, 1,000, 200 people. I used to employ 300, 400 people. I do projects abroad also. We take people from here. The problem is on the lower level, who are basically unorganized. Why shipyards, the public sector shipyards go for labor contractors, but they don't want to take the people on their road. You get cheaper labor from subcontractors. So there is no incentive because the mindset has to change. Everybody wants to become an engineer or at least a diploma. The IITs in the States still remain the same old numbers which was there maybe 20 years, 30 years back. Like Madam said, we don't need a certification. We never ask for a certificate. We need people willing to come and do it. But it's highly unorganized society. In my yard, the working hours is 8 to 8. 12 hours people are ready to work. People come and work. But now, like that migration of workers from other states has also stopped in Bombay. So we are finding it very, very difficult to get. So this is something the state has to take initiative. Not private sector, nobody is going to. I'm not going to start a small training institute for maybe 10, 30 welders. But the state can do it and there is ample opportunities. I'll give you one example. I went and recently, 2 years back, went to Uganda of all places, started a shipyard. They have never seen a ship in their life. I trained 184 people, right from my safety manager to the lower level welders and everything. They all become the same. But I had a support of the financier for the project, which was a European funded project. They asked me to, subsidized me for the training of the local people because that was a part of the deal, social, doing something for the society. So this, we should not be worried about the upper level, we should be worried about the lower level because whatever may be the level of automation, you won't be able to make so many ships without the welders and the fitters and the gas cutters and the grinders. That is what we require. Not engineers, we have enough, we have surplus. That is where the state has to come in and come out with a firm policy. That's only way we can overcome this problem.
Yeah.
I would like to add on this one. Mohanlalji, you talked about the state, this one. But look at what we were all doing about, say, 40, 50 years ago. Whether it is GKW or various companies, they all developed their in-house talent from ITI. All of those guys started, they all, after 4-5 years of doing training, they all went and did their NCTVT or they did AMI, they did all those things. Where is AMI gone? Where is NCTVT gone? All those people who are here, who have done their NCTVT or things like that, they will understand what I'm talking about. Mr. Raj, you will understand what I'm talking about. NCTVT is gone out of the window. Where is the AMI engineers, the people who have worked? Where is that pool? Every trade, every industry developed their own. Every private company developed their own in-house pool. All those pools are not there. We want government to do it. Yes, that is one part, support. But where is the industry developing their own? Now the shipyard can say that we don't have the welders. We don't have the ITIs. Yes, I agree. But what have they done to develop their own? So there is a flip side to both. Whilst the government needs to support, the industry needs to safeguard their own stuff too. This is my take on that.
See, we are not asking for the government to support. Basically, what we are talking about is the lack of availability is the truth. This needs to be addressed. And if you are looking at going to the level we are planning for, we need to address this seriously.
Yeah, ma'am, maybe the last question from you. Can somebody give her the mic, please? No, sorry, the lady has been requesting, so let's give a chance to this lady first.
I would request that if I can ask one more question.
Yeah, and ma'am, can you please keep it short? And sir, for you, I will come to you personally to take your question because we are already way beyond the time limit. Just apologies for that, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for giving opportunity to lady. First of all, the session was so interesting and I appreciate the honesty of the panelists because they truly mention when we are talking about the nation first, we always forget about the safety first. And I really, as what madam said, that we are having the jobless growth is much more higher in all the industries. And when we are talking about the training, safety and certification courses and everything, I think what we are not talking about the grassroots level workers. Because for them, it's not so important. For them, when we are comparing the Japan,
Madam,
Korea.
we've been told that it's time up. Can you just keep it short?
Yeah.
Then we can take more
The
questions.
Japan, Korea, Singapore. So we have to compare our grassroots level workers also with them, at par with them. And I'm very happy. In Mumbai Port Authority, Shri Jalota sir is there. He always emphasizes on the safety first. So for grassroots level, if we need to develop more strategy for the training. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. I think, sorry, sir. We have been running very late now. So just bear with us. I will come to both of you gentlemen and discuss your questions.
Thank you so much, everyone. Whatever questions are remaining, kindly take it, we can take it post the sessions. As a token of appreciation, may I now request Sri Rajiv Jalota to present the mementos to our esteemed speakers, sir. Thank you. A group photo, please.